Greetings, everyone. I'm Jed Shlackman. I work as a holistic counselor as well as a hypnotherapist and energy healer. For this video, I'll be speaking about the topic of healing from narcissistic abuse. This has become a more widely discussed topic or theme, and I want to give some input on how you can move past being kind of stuck in a victim state where you can move forward in your life. When people experience some form of abuse or manipulation by people that are strong in narcissistic traits, it's common to feel a lot of shame, a lot of depression or anxiety, various emotional symptoms or residues, you could say, from that experience. So let's kind of look at this in a broader context where we can see what's occurred as part of your personal growth or spiritual journey rather than just being a victim of abuse. There are also things to explore within our own life path, things perhaps from childhood that are ready to be recognized and released. There's not random experiences in life, but meaningful experiences that we have in our life. So if you've gone through that abuse by someone who's a narcissist, there's perhaps things there for you to learn or understand or heal, and it actually serves a greater purpose from that broader perspective. So you don't need to look at yourself as a victim. You can conceive of the concept that as a soul or spiritual being, you chose certain paths or certain experiences in your human lifetime for you to learn and master things. So rather than holding on to anger or resentment or feeling guilt or shame about what has occurred, you can start to explore with curiosity, asking for inner guidance, for your soul's wisdom to show you what was there for you to learn, what are you ready to overcome, in what ways can you maintain healthy boundaries, in what ways can you create more balance in your life and in your relationships so that you don't repeat the same patterns, so that you don't continue to encounter abusive relationships where you allow someone to exploit or manipulate you. One common theme is that when we're a child, we may have a parent who has strong narcissistic traits, and because as a child you need the protection, you need the love and caring of a parent, you'll cling to that relationship and you'll do whatever you can in the hopes of getting that person to give you love, to give you attention, to give you the nurturing and validation that you desire, even if they are acting in that abusive or narcissistic way. So as a child, we have what we could call attachment wounds, where the attachment figure, usually a parent, is not providing us the healthy form of nurturing or nurturance that as a child you would ideally receive. And there are different ways you might cope or compensate in reaction to that. So in some cases, the child will try to appease to seek to gain approval of that narcissistic person. In other cases, the child may start to copy or emulate those narcissistic patterns, so the child himself or herself may actually become a narcissist in order to kind of emulate the parent, thinking that by being the same way as the parent will approve of that child and give them validation. There are often conflicting feelings within oneself. You could say you have like a love-hate relationship with an attachment figure. So the child may love and value that parent at the same time that they're angry and resentful toward that parent. And this occurs in future relationships with intimate partners where the person may have a partner who's narcissistic and abusive, and there's one part of the self, one part of that internal system, you could say, that loves and has deep caring and compassion for the partner. Perhaps that person wants to and somehow fix their partner to help their partner change, while at the same time there's another aspect that carries this anger toward the partner for that abusive behavior. So we might care about someone who's abusing us. We might care about someone who's doing hurtful things and believe that we can somehow help them change, help them become a better person, help them stop being abusive, while there's another part of us that's experiencing that abuse and is angry and resentful about it. And there's that kind of internal tug-of-war where there's a part of you that knows that you're valuable and you shouldn't allow yourself to be treated that way. And that part of you may feel that it's time to break away, to leave that relationship. But yet there's another part of you that has what might be called a trauma bond, where somehow you feel that you need to stay with that person, that somehow you'll be able to get them to change, to somehow lead them to treat you in a more positive and respectful way. And you carry that hope that eventually that's going to occur, just as when we're a child and we're with an abusive parent, we hope that somehow we can please or appease that parent and get them to show us love, to show us compassion and caring, even when they're not doing that or not able to do it consistently. Often there will be this pattern of inconsistency where sometimes the person's being abusive toward you, and other times they're trying to make up for that to show you some form of attention or love. So they might have done something really hurtful and then they start to apologize and do something that makes you feel that they care about you, but then the cycle repeats. So it's kind of a back and forth between showing some form of caring and showing the abusive side. So if you continue to allow that to stay in that relationship, then you have some work to do on yourself to work on healing those parts that are still stuck in that trauma bond per se. part of it is working on your own self-worth, believing that you can be in a relationship where someone is consistently showing you love and caring and respect. You have to believe that you're worthy and believe that that's possible, that you can experience that in a relationship, that you don't have to continue in a relationship where you're being mistreated or abused. That pattern often does begin in childhood, where there's a parent who has those narcissistic and manipulative traits, where that parent is abusive and the child doesn't really have much choice about being in that relationship with the parent. They really are dependent on that parent, and they'll do whatever they can in the hopes of getting that parent to treat them better, but it's not realistic. The parent is the way they are, and the child can't force that parent or convince that parent to change, no matter how much the child attempts to please or appease that parent. So in the healing arts, we work on healing that inner child, working with what sometimes is referred to as the inner family system, internal family system, where there's a child part of the self that's still hoping to gain approval or validation. The adult aspect of the self may be more conscious and aware that they're being abused and mistreated, and they ideally shouldn't continue to accept that. But there's that wounded child self that's still hoping to get that other person to give them love and give them caring. So different processes that help access the child self can assist in the healing process. Part of it is overcoming any of that pain, any of that anger or shame that's present there. So really working on building your own self-esteem, your own self-worth, and having self-forgiveness as well as forgiveness for other people involved. Forgiveness tends to come naturally when you have a more expanded perspective, where you can see things more from your soul's point of view, where you came into your life to go through some challenging or abusive experiences, and then go through a process of recovering yourself, of learning and understanding things, and reconnecting with your core essence, re-embracing your own inner beauty, your own value, your own spiritual potential. So these are all different elements of the healing process, and part of it is that self-forgiveness, not beating yourself up about it, not feeling ashamed that you've allowed someone to mistreat you, but understanding this is kind of an archetypal pattern that pretty much everyone goes through at some point in their journey of experiencing human life. So we all play the roles of narcissists and those being abused at various times. It's really not something to hold on to shame about. It's something to recognize, to work on healing. I hope that this introduction to this topic has given you some insights, some things to consider, some hope or optimism perhaps for making progress with moving past that victim role and feeling healthy and empowered, feeling more self-confident, and trusting that you can experience relationships where you are more consistently loved and valued and respected. For those that are interested in holistic health and spirituality and personal growth, I invite you to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's spelled PHINSIGHTS.com. For now, I wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.